The shifter in this Rex has a heap of play. It's basically, you move it and nothing happens and it's actually squeaking. So it feels like there's some bushings going. So there's a front coupling on the gear shift lever, and we'll have a look at that in a second. And you can see it's like a two-way axis kind of thing, a vertical and a horizontal. So it's got bushings in both. The later cars, I think from 2005 or 6 onwards, you can rebuild it. The earlier ones, you got to replace it because it's a pressed in pin, unfortunately. So we've got some bushings for that. Some of these Torque Solutions bushings that we'll put into here. And then we've got the Whiteline gears kit, which is basically a new piece at the back of the shifter where the shifter rod inserts in, and it's black hardened rubber, so it's going to reduce play there. And then there's where the shifter arm attaches to the side of the gearbox. It's a new replacement bushing there, so a lot stiffer with a metal sleeve. So let's get in there and fix it up. That front joint thing has been replaced recently, and it looks like they haven't pushed the pin in, so we're going to fix that and just knock that back in so it's where it's supposed to be. And you can see how much play is there. So the bushings in the back pit are off, so we're going to probably be able to do this, I think, without taking that front coupler off. But we'll start by knocking that back into position. So I've just got a extension here, or socket extension. Now if you pull it back a bit, you can kind of line that up better. And we're going to get that on there, and we're going to tap away with the hammer to lock it in. Now we've got that massive amount of play there in that joint, and it's already been, the front one's been replaced recently by the previous owner. You can imagine how bad it was when they had it. If they, pretty sure we've got really 12 mil. I might have to take that arm off, which, I mean, well, we got to do it anyway because I got a replacement bushing, so we'll do that first. So that is a 12, yeah, and on the other side it's a stud. It's not a bolt, so we should be able to get in there. Pull that off. Okay. Now I don't think I'll be able to cut that. It's gonna be tricky to get that bushing off, I think, while it's in position here. But maybe we might just take the gear linkage out from the top. But that gives us room to access that 12 mil socket nut there, and I've got a wobble joint. So let's get up to there. And we'll put the wrench on top. Let's see if I can even turn this. Yeah, there we go, okay. Okay, now the nut on top should be just finger tight now. There it goes. And the bolt comes out. Okay, now let's pull that back and see what's going on with this bushing. Because it is flogged out. It's like there's a metal piece supposed to go inside there or something, and they haven't put it in. Because that is way kind of needed. So I'm pretty sure there's a metal bit that's supposed to go through the center of that, and it's not there. So thank you, previous mechanic, for not putting that in. The rest of that feels pretty good. There's a little bit of, there's another side to side, tiny bit of side to side movement there. I do have the torque specs. I think it's like 12 pound-foot that these bolts need to be. So we'll get in there and tighten them up a little bit when we go to reassemble. But for now, we're gonna hop in the car because I gotta get this bushing out of here, out of this arm. And it is very soft and pliable, but I don't think I'm gonna have the room to get it out while it's in here. Actually, I know I'm not gonna have the room to get it out while it's in here. Okay, well, I'll just hop in the car now and pull out the shifter. You know, we just did the cob shifter, which a little bit, but we have new bushing for there and a new bushing on the back, the Whiteline kit. So our quest to perfect the shifting continues. All right, we go back inside. You can see we've taken the shifter off. You can see that in our other video. Now, again, this is an 06, so it's a little bit different dash setup. Just need to pop that one panel. I don't think we need to remove all this. And now we're going to take off these. These are 10mm bolts that just surround the shifter, kind of hold the rubber boot in, and then we'll just pull the whole thing out through the top because everything's undone down below. Now this is another bushing we're going to do, but the rod there goes into the back bushing, so we're going to have to reach in and just pull the whole thing forward, and that'll pop it out of there. So it's kind of just pressed in, it's not really bolted into that. There we go. So there we go. Now it should just all come out. It's all disconnected. There we go. Shifter removed. All right, now this bushing we need to do, and then that bushing up inside. And it's just a 12mm bolt, but it's kind of a weird angle. So I put my wobble socket on there, as much as I don't like using those, just to break it, because it's just there. It's barely more than. Once you break it, it's kind of finger tight, and just get it out with your fingers. There it is. And one more on the other side. That's the fun part about working on a car, that we don't get snow and rust here. Okay, there we go. That's the bushing we've just replaced. So it's come out, you see the orientation, it goes up a bit, and you can see all the cracks in that. So yeah, good thing we're replacing that. It's still probably not too bad, but definitely pretty soft and fatigued, but you can see how it goes up, because the new one, they're gonna kind of do that same orientation. All right, let's grab the new one. Here's the new Whiteline bushing part. In the kit you get new bolts, and you get little spacers to kind of go into here. Cuts down the play again. So what we're going to do now is Delrin, you're not supposed to have to grease it, but it does come with grease because you do have another bushing as well. I'm going to grease it, not these holes, but I'm going to grease up this one so it's nice and easy to move. So again, keeping note of that orientation we came out, it was a bit higher at the top, so we're going to put it in that same way. And careful not to lose that insert, because yeah, they're going to want to move. We'll just put those in, and then put the bolt through. Okay, here to line it up. It's kind of hard because you can't see where you are, but should just, oh yeah, perfect. First go. Okay, just get them in there finger tight, and then we'll crank them down. Do we have a torque spec? They do give you instructions, which is pretty handy, but let's see, is there a torque spec on that? I think it's just going to be light because you're just holding it into that spot there. Torque to manufacturer torque spec. So yeah, it's an old Subaru, so let's just do it so it's tight. I said they weren't super tight to get in there to begin with, to take them out, but let's see what we can do. Okay, that is in. Now we're going to tackle the bushing off that arm. So we're going to pry out the old one, grease up the new one, and get it ready to install. So it is pretty soft and perished. I'm wondering if I can probably almost push it out with my hands. There we go. Here it comes. There we go. That is pretty deteriorated as well. And we got the new one. So the new one is just that's the new one there. So you got two pieces and the sleeve that goes inside. And we'll just get some paper towel ready to clean the grease. So all we want to do is, just grease the whole thing up. Nothing worse than having all this squeaking, making noise. So inside's got the little Teflon lining stuff, so that should never be squeaking, but outside, all the edges, let's push it in. Yeah, just glides right in. There we go. We'll flip this over. This is obviously the 5-speed kit. It's got big 5-speed written on it. And push in. There we go. Now that is done. It is obviously a lot firmer than this mush. And that's ready to install. We're going to go see if we can get the center piece for here, maybe some new bushings from our local car guys. And that's it. We're ready to reinstall after we put that back, put that piece back together. Okay, I just went out, got some parts, got a torque solution. This is the little bushing kit. And the important thing that we need is the piece that we were missing before, is that rod down below. Now this has aftermarket thing through it already, but just to get the kit, I kind of had to get a bunch. So I do have new pieces for down below, but that whole new U-joint coupler thing is new anyway, so probably don't need to replace them, but while we're in there, might as well change those over. So we're putting it back in. So it's just a matter of inserting it back in here, just kind of guiding it through and around, and then we're going to have to seat the rubber boot and get the back, this peg on the back, set in that new bushing we've got in there. So just a matter of kind of lifting everything up, bouncing it around down there, and getting it to where it needs to go. Go to your home. There we go. Hopefully that's all sort of lined up down there. I can't really see, but we can get at least, come on, go in further. Just gotta drop that back in. There we go, it's all in. Now I'm gonna grease up the back end of this. There's some grease I got open, there it is. I did put a little bit of grease in the hole, but we're gonna grease this as well. That way, and load it up. Don't want it binding, don't want any resistance on it. Trying to get this as smooth a shift as possible. Okay. So just pop that back into the hole. Might be easier said than done because I can't really see it. Let's see if we can get the camera over there. I ended up getting back under the car and pushing it because I could get a much straighter line to that. so we're just going to put the boot, pull it back up, just get in position before we put the metal ring back on it. Good opportunity to trim that if you wanted to make more clearance, to have the shifter a bit higher to get it shorter. So now we're going to go underneath and start connecting things up. So we got that new piece. Okay, grease it up and try to put it in position. Pretty, very tight fit, but it's just plastic, of course. And then grease this. Now, the interesting thing is going to be if it can get it to stay in there while we put it together. So I got to get it in that hole. Put this back on the little peg now. Get that out of the way a bit. Nope, because that blocks too much. Okay, well, I did get a smaller screwdriver because I thought this might happen. A little tiny one. Get that in there. Okay, I got the bolt back in. How did I get to line up? I used an Allen key. So I couldn't get it in that way, it's too long. So I got it in that way, and I just maneuvered it in the hole and was able to get the bolt in. So bolt is, where are you? Bolt is in. You see it up there? Right there. Okay, cool. So now I'm going to put the nut on the top and tighten that. That's going to be another mission. 12 Newton meters is, I believe, is the force on it, so not much. And then we can tighten that. We got to grease and tighten that big round one, the big round bushing, and that's connected to that kind of arm, and get that. So we need to get that arm bushing all greased up and attached. But first we'll put the nut on the top of the other one and tighten that down. All right, back to my 12mm wrench, my socket with the wobble joint, and pull that out of the way. First things first, get this wrench up on top. Okay, it's on the wobble. Got the wrench jammed up there. $12 Newton or pounds-foot, or I don't know. Just getting it fairly tight without crushing it. Now I get my wrench out. And now it's time to put those bushings back in. So I just gotta push back on the stud, take them off. Make sure everything's still greased. So, that's good and greasy. I can't even grab it. See what I'm doing, sorry. I can't see what I'm doing either. I'm just gonna pop it back on it on that stud. And it is all greased up. There we go. Let's push through. Now put a bit more grease on this outside of this bushing. When you put the cover type back on. And that's pretty much it for down here. Now that cover plate with the little hook, it's not square, it's not totally round that hole, there's a flat side on it, so, and the bushing goes on that side, so we're going to grease that up as well. So it can only go on one way. And we'll just slide in when it's, yeah, that's it. That's its happy home. Okay, and then we'll lock that one down. A bit more clearance on this side. A ratcheting wrench would make this 12 would be great here. Okay, don't know what the torque is on that, but just want it snug. Well, grease is oozing out, we'll just wipe up the excess. All right, everything underneath is done. Now we go back up top and yeah, put the metal trim ring in, and we're yeah, shifter's installed, and we'll have a feel. Woohoo! All right, back inside. Let's get this boot lined up, and we bolt it down. So it just goes in. Like that. Get the carpet out of the way. Little locating things that so you go through, like up there, and this one's, I saw another one. One on the back here, there we go. So that locates those little locating things, locate that trim thing. And we got 6 bolts to whiz back in. Wow, that was worth it. It is in there, not squeaking. That's fantastic. All new bushings. That's the result. Yeah, well, what can you do? You know, it's got almost 20-year-old bushings, I guess, in a lot of these cars. You gotta expect them to be, nothing lasts forever, to so replace them. And that is going to transform the driving of this car, because that was just something you get in and go, oh, that's horrible. Now, feels great. Okay, back together. Proper, feels like a normal car now. There's a little bit of movement, you're always going to get some, but it's not the miles of movement and squeaking and stuff. I mean, we didn't even have that pin in that one section. Fantastic. All right, that's the result. We now have a fixed shifter. So if you have a sloppy shifter, no problem. All you got to do is stiffen it up. You take some of those black rubber bushings and swallow. And but yeah, easy. And then if you know, we didn't have to replace the front section because that was already done. If you had to, that's not too much of a job. You just knock that pin out. There's a million videos on that. What there isn't is, because this is the 2006 model, I haven't seen any videos on kind of rebuilding that. So that's what that torque solution kit's for. You can rebuild your uni coupler if you've got the later model car that's got the bolt instead of the rivet holding it together. So anyway, there we go, result.